We are located in Lagos Street.
Thank you so much, John Reginald from Maiduguri. Can we have the next person, please?
Hello, good morning all.
Good morning.
My name is Gloria Ayal. I'm the male officer, Maiduguri office.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gloria. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mohammed Abdurrahman Jada, the Livelihood Program Officer, Crudan ProAct in Adamawa State. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jada. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
My name is Calvin Silas Yakubu, Partner Finance Assistant, ProAct, Yola.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on this call. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
My name is Anthony Gama, the Finance Officer, Crudan ProAct Project.
Yeah, you're welcome, Oga.
God bless you, my brother.
I saw you. I didn't know that you were using glasses.
My brother, the eyes is going, man.
Have you joined us? You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we're going.
Actually, this is just.
All right. So yes, let's have the next person introduce himself or herself. Okay, Moses, can you please introduce yourself? Moses Alago. Okay, I think every other person on the call has introduced themselves, but I'm seeing Crudan Southwest. You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Your Excellency. My name, I'm Anthony Pape, Program Officer Southwest, joining you from Ibadan.
Joining us from Ibadan, Nigeria. Thank you. It's such a joy having you join us. All right. So, is there anybody else on the call? Bulus is joining us. Okay. If Bulus can introduce himself, then we'll go straight to other people in the room here where I am to also introduce themselves. Bulus, can you hear me?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Good morning. I'm John Eden from Mobi South, Adamawa State, the supervisor, local government project supervisor, Mobi South.
That's great. Thank you for joining this this training.
Thank you too.
Yes. So, can we have Bulus introduce himself? He's not in Yola, he's in, I think he's in Kakida. Okay, he can't hear me. So let's go around the room. Please, those at Crudan HQ, please introduce yourselves. Just tell us your name, your role, and then I think they already know now that you're in Crudan HQ. So, Madam Crew, let's go this way. Please be audible so that they can hear you.
I am a Bolu admin officer.
Thank you very much. So that they can see your face, please just tell us again your name.
Okay, good morning all. I am a Bolu Awataro, student admin.
Thank you very much. Crudan HQ. That way. Okay, so I should mute my own. Unmute your own. Unmute your own.
Good morning all. I am Timothy Usman, account officer.
Jacob.
Good morning all. I'm Jacob Silas, office assistant.
Yes.
Confidential secretary.
Yes, she keeps things confidential.
Linus Bitrus Gojim alias Papa Lagos. Program accountant.
Okay, Chris.
I'm Christopher John Obaje, Peace Building Project Volunteer.
Thank you. Okay, just in case you didn't hear that, I mean, we're glad to be joined by the ED. She says she's Ruth June Abdi, Research and Development. My name is Toby Salau. My name is Toby Salau, Director of Programs for Crudan. And I'm glad that you could join us this morning, and then we'll just go straight into it. Yes, please introduce yourself.
I'm Victor Akamidu, ICT officer, Sudan HQ.
Thank you very much. Good morning. So I'm glad that the ED is here. This is a bit impromptu for her, but I would like her to just welcome everybody to this training. We are being joined by our teams across Nigeria. PROACT is here. Humanitarian is represented. Tula is here. Tony from Southwest is here. Bulus in Dairuada is here. So we have a fair representation of our team. So I'd just like you to, on behalf of just welcome them to the training.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'll use my.
Good morning, team members. I'm happy to hear that you're able to join on this training. They call it a step down, and I always tell Toby that I learned from one of those gurus that I learned from early 2013, 14, that when you hear the word step down, it's scary. It's like you're bringing the quality of something down. So, and each time he hears that word step down, that he feels like going to the toilet. It churns his stomach. So I believe that whatever Toby and his colleagues who attended the training on impact documentation, whatever they learned there, he's going to do his best to share with us, hopefully not stepping down the quality, but even upping the quality so that we understand it well. And I always recommend that you can't give everything you learned in 1 week in 1 day. So whatever is necessary, you can pick and ensure that people understand well. I think that will be better. And it's better to do this in bits than to have everything downloaded on our heads today, you know, and then, or stepped down on our heads today, and we are unable to, or we get more confused. So I hope that Toby will just work on what is necessary for today. And then another time we can schedule an hour or two to keep doing it that way. I'm sure when we do that, it will help. So I'm happy that you have joined, and I pray that you find it useful and helpful. And I'm sure too that you have contributions to make to enrich the program. So thank you very much for being here. I pray that God will bless our time together. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Let me sound like those professional compares that was the executive director of Crudan, welcoming us to this session. So I'll just go ahead to share my screen, but let me confirm, did you hear her? Did we hear her?
Yes, loud and clear.
Loud and clear, fantastic. Okay, so she made
Loud and clear, I heard her.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. So this is what is going to happen. We are going to take it bit by bit, and we are not going to be overloading us with so much information based on what we received. The actual training was actually for 3 days, but we are going to be taking this bit by bit. The intention today is that we run this training up till about 1 p.m. today and end it. Wherever we get to will be a convenient place to end the training. All right? So I appeal to you to hang in there and just stay with us until it's about 1 p.m. when we can end the training. Wherever we stop, God willing, subsequently, we'll continue from there, but not too far from now, so that we don't lose track of what we are doing. All right. So I'd like to share my screen right now so that you all can follow the presentation. So if you can see my screen, kindly let me know.
I can see it clearly.
Thank you.
Yes, I can see the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Thank you.
You can see it.
Okay, so but how are you seeing it now? It's not showing full screen, yeah?
Sure.
It's duplicate.
Yeah, so I need full screen. Sorry, let me just be sure of, okay. I think I've solved my problem. Can you see it as full screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, at my end.
All right. So it's the title of the training. So I also don't want to call it step down. Because the truth about the matter is that it is the quality you are going to get is going to be better than what we got, because I've now mixed my own thoughts with that of the presenters. I believe that we get it better even as we share. So we're looking at project impact description and abstract development. That's the general title of our training. And Mr. Caleb Gusen and myself attended this training on behalf of Crudan. This training was done by our Care Fund about a month ago at Miango Rest Home in Plateau State, Bassa Plateau State. And so we were mandated to step down this training as it were. But beyond the action plan we drew, we felt that this training is very relevant for our teams, both finance team, admin team, program team is important, especially the initial parts for other teams, but the program team may find it more relevant for the concluding parts. But I assure you that everybody benefits greatly from this. As much as possible, I would like to be getting feedback from our virtual participants, just to be sure that you are still there. But I want all of us to follow. All right? So,
we're with you, sir.
All right. So we're hoping that at the end of this training, that all the participants will be able to understand what is meant by process documentation. Process documentation. And then that you'll be able to outline methods of documenting project progress and impact. Project progress and impact. And that you'll be able to identify practical approaches to writing project abstracts. Okay? These slides are going to be shared after this presentation, so you can be sure that you have this presentation. So for you to be able to understand process documentation, outline methods of documenting project progress and impact, and identify practical approaches to writing project abstracts. The second objective, the third objective may not be achieved in this particular set of sessions because of timing. So we may not achieve that here, but I'm sure that the first two will be able to do some justice to them. All right. So just by way of introduction, we seem to be limited in measuring the impact of the work that we are doing, okay? As an organization, in fact, as Nigerian organizations generally, there seems to be a very poor documentation and measuring of project impact that we're experiencing. And as an organization, Crudan, we need to be able to adequately document our work and showcase it and help develop skills on how to measure the impact of our work to attract the interest of funders, other CSOs, government for funding. Most funds Crudan accesses are pilot funds, all right? And they are to open us up to better funding and institutional funding. I think as much as most of us know, Crudan has just one major institutional funder or donor. And imagine if we had more than one. Imagine if we're able to effectively work and attract donors, attract government attention and all that. We're doing that to a level. But this training is to equip us to be able to effectively master the art and the skill of doing this, especially those of us who are involved in field work, in capturing success stories, recording, doing some kind of M&E work or meal, work, depending on what is relevant within our context. All right. So the essence of this is that we need to be able to capture the work we are doing and document them. This is indirectly a way of accessing funding, as it were, because when people know your work and what you do, you attract attention. All right. And I just look at the first session briefly. It's quite a brief session. Process documentation. I'm trying to take it in the order at which it was taken while we attended the training with TIEFund. And the facilitator that took this session is Mr. Sunday Musa. Sunday Musa is the Executive Director of Assets here in Nigeria. And I am presenting it here. That's why I put presenter. Because CMD taught us that you put presenter if the presentation is not originally yours. Okay? So you put I hope that by virtue of what I'm doing, some of us are learning one or two things too. All right? Sure. So process documentation. Who can tell us what they understand by the word process? Just anything you understand by the word process.
Okay, can I share?
Yes, please. Tell us your name and share.
Okay, my name is Tula Ritine,
Thank you.
aka Tula.
Thank you.
Yeah, in my process documentation is recording as you go what you are doing.
Right.
As you go on the go documentation of activities, on the go documentation of everything we are doing.
Thank you so much, Tula. You've taken us ahead. I asked for definition of process, and you gave us process documentation. So that's good. That's good. Does anybody want to share? What do you understand by process? Yes. Okay. So Salome at headquarters is saying it's like method, steps, a way of doing things. Okay. Those are the feedback I'm getting from here. Anybody else wants to share? Joining us virtually.
Yeah, my name is Bulus.
Yes.
From the Northeast Zone.
Thank you.
Process can refer to as procedure or step-by-step recording of an activity.
Okay. Step-by-step recording of the activity. I hope we are taking notes, because these profound explanations and descriptions from us, you know, is a good learning process for us. So what we are hearing people say are not in my slide. That's why you need to write, okay? And this is beautiful. We are recording this this training, so we'll share the video recording with us as soon as we end it, so that you can access it and watch again. But it's also good you write something down. All right, so that is a very beautiful way to process documentation. I think Mr. Linus, you were saying something. Okay, the
Hello, good
steps
morning.
that go through in accomplishing a
Toby. Hello, Toby.
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Hello, somebody wants to say something. Okay, so you can actually chat up your comments or your further explanation of what it is to you, or if you have a question, please feel free to chat it in the chat box, okay? Tula has just written for us what he said, that is a process or series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end, all right? So that's important. So let's make some progress. So process is about what? Actions. Process is about actions, what you do. Simple or complex things that we do. All form what we call process. So the results chain clearly demonstrates what a process is about and should be a standard in our process documentation. Okay? So the results chain, we remember what the results chain is, right? Do we know the results chain? Do we know? Can anybody refresh our minds what a result chain is? Can anybody refresh our minds what the result chain is? How do you capture, or what is the process, or what is the cycle that results follow? Yes. Okay. So yes, Mrs. Dool.
When you have an activity or you've done an activity,
okay,
what are the results based on your output?
Okay.
And then what are the outcomes based on your specific objective or purpose? And
okay,
what's the impact based on your goal?
Thank you. So output, all right, outcome, and impact. Okay. Impact is based on your goal. Outcome is based on your what? Objectives. And then your output is based on your specific objective. There is an important part of what Mrs. Dool has just shared. And if you can see your screen, you are going to see it there. That first small level that we often do not capture is the inputs level, inputs. All right? And under the inputs, we have resources, such as what? Money, time, personnel, materials. Those are your inputs that you put into a particular project or program or initiative or whatever. All right? So it's very important. That's where you start from. Then you go to outputs, is the immediate results level. Then outcome, then impact. You need to be able to capture the processes involved across these levels of the results chain. And capturing it means documenting it, storing it, saving it. It's very important. We'll see that more as we make progress. So, process is not just about the actions. We were told in the training that it's also about the feelings of actors also. Feelings is part of the process, okay? Because you cannot take away how people feel about something or perception from your project implementation. I know that somebody will be saying, well, we don't work by how we feel, but your stakeholders have feelings about what you are doing. There are perceptions about how you are doing. You need to document them. You need to write them down. And I want you to begin to think about your different endeavors, your work and your role. You may be a finance person. How do stakeholders feel about your processes? Okay, stakeholders could be your vendors. Okay, it could be the vendors. They could be the different people that you deal with, that you make payments to, or whatever. What are their feelings? What policies, standard operating procedures, guidelines, and so on are being used in your project implementation? They should be written down. They should be documented along the different stages of your project implementation. Please, except if you are making a comment, mute your mic, please. Mute your mic, except you are making a comment. And we expect that everybody is with us. So if you are laughing about something that we are not saying here, that means you are listening to something else. Please, let's try and pay attention. All right. So we are talking about what policies are involved, what SOPs, what guidelines, and so on are being used in your project implementation. I give you an instance. We are at a point where we are engaging mentors or volunteers. Okay, yes, Sam, you want to say something? Sam, I can see your hand. Please unmute your mic and go ahead. Okay, I thought Sam wanted to say something, but let's go on if you can all hear me.
This is not Sam, this is James.
Oh, this is James. Okay. So you're welcome, James. Are you trying to say something, or you? All right, let's make progress. You can please just mute your mics, except you have a comment or something. So all this should be documented. So I was giving an example that, for instance, we're at the point of engaging international mentors for our humanitarian project, all right? And we're discovering that there are certain policies or guidelines that before now we do not really have in place to be able to effectively engage such kind of consultants, okay, or people doing contract service. Onus is on us to document this process. So, for instance, the Crudan Chief Human Resources person is here, and we need to document this process of engaging these mentors. For instance, we have someone coming in from Cote d'Ivoire, we have someone coming in from Pakistan. If we've not done this before, imagine that 3, 4, 5 years, even if we are not here, whoever is sitting here can pick up that document, that learning document, and see what procedures did they follow when they were trying to engage a new a volunteer that is coming from out of country. So process documentation is important. And I dare say that this process documentation is important for every team member. I'm talking to you now. Our chief chauffeur in the headquarters is here in the room, our driver, and he's listening to this discussion. And I know that upon resumption of duty, he has come up with several new ideas and initiatives. In fact, very recently, he came up with a form. And he's saying when a vehicle is assigned to an officer or we just get a new vehicle, this form needs to be filled so that you are sure that every part of this vehicle is intact when you were giving it. And when you're handing over that vehicle back, you cross-check with the form what the person is handing over. That's process. That's documentation. I'm using these different instances so that nobody here feels as if what we're talking about is just for programs people. All right, we are all involved in the team that makes these things work. Are we together? So, what was planned? What is being done? When it's being done? What achievements are coming from it? What is enhancing achievement? What are the challenges and what lessons are we learning? We are implementing very, very strategic projects across the nation as Prudent. And it's important that we capture effectively what we planned to do, what we are doing, when it's being done, what the achievements are that are coming from it, what is enhancing achievement, and what the challenges and what lessons we are learning. It's very, very crucial.
Please, Toby, I'm not hearing from the Northwest Zone. Maybe the network is bad.
Sorry about that. Maybe the network is bad. Maybe you can refresh your network.
Can you hear me?
You can refresh your network and connect again, please. But I'd like to get feedback from the teams listening virtually. Are you with us to this point?
Yes, Bulus is with you from the Northeast Zone.
Thank you very much, Bulus.
Yes,
Yes, we are with you from Maiduguri.
From Maiduguri, fantastic. All
We're
right.
with you from Adama ProAct.
Thank you, Gloria. So in case you are not hearing us, please feel free to drop a chat message. We'll see it as soon as it comes in. But let me say again that we are recording the training, so you can always revisit it to see the slides and listen to it. I'm glad that we are following. So it's important to capture and record all these processes. In your finance team, what processes are involved? They need to be documented. All right? So what is documentation? It is the capturing and storing of specific information for reference or learning purposes.
I work from home.
Documentation is key for information, learning, history taking, sustainability, and effective replication of ideas, projects, or initiatives. Anything that you don't write down, nobody knows. In fact, if you don't write it down, you yourself will forget. So documentation is key along the way. That's the explanation that Tula gave us initially. On the go, as you are working, you document it, you write it down, that this is what we are learning, that we got to a point in our project implementation and something happened that we had never seen before. So who can give me an instance of what happened probably this year that we have not seen before in the course of project implementation or in the course of work that changed the way you worked this year? Can anybody share with us? The way this question is so cheap, I expected that 5 people would have spoken right now. But I need a response. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's the COVID-19 pandemic.
COVID-19 pandemic.
Force us work from home.
Hello?
Yes, COVID-19 pandemic is real. And it was a major shift for us. Okay, so even in our attempt to use Zoom for this training, the COVID-19 further motivated us to go into this kind of shift. So COVID-19 is a major issue. And I know that you can think of several things within your state or your zone or your region that made you change the way that you work. You need to write it down. You need to capture it in your reports. You need to share it, especially with your teams within the organization. Write it down, capture it. For instance, our humanitarian team is doing a lot in Maiduguri, and they encounter challenges. But you know that every challenge you encounter in the course of your work is an opportunity for learning. Because what that does is that it makes you think of a different way to approach it. All right? So it is important. Documentation is critical. So process documentation, we can say it is capturing and storing all information. I carefully use the words capturing and storing because it's not only about writing it. There are different ways of capturing, and we'll see videos, pictures, and different things. And I also carefully use the word storing because if you capture and you did not store or save or file or adequately keep somewhere safe, what that means is zero. All right? So filing is critical. And I'm happy that our confidential secretary is here. And, you know, this training is also a challenge for her. What is your experience in filing? Because you have a responsibility to document a lot of processes that is going on at Prudent headquarters, for instance. And that goes for your different teams, the admin assistants, you know, the finance team. What is your filing like? Are you careful to note the major changes going on? Or when there is a new document or a new idea, whatever, you just keep them carelessly. You need to be able to help as an organization to adequately document its processes. So all information, guidelines, policies, feelings, and actions in the course of projects implementation from baseline to the end line. From beginning to the end, that's what it means. I hope we all know, especially our programs team, that baseline is not for the donor. Baseline is for you as an organization. Ordinarily, baselines are supposed to be done even before the grant comes, before you ever get the grant. So that once there's an opportunity to apply for a grant, for instance, you have information. So baseline is the assessment, the survey, the research that you do ever before you get a grant. However, because of funding issues, it's possible for baseline to be the first thing you want to do when you get a grant. But what that means is that you had included critical information that could form a baseline in your are we together? So all that happens from the time you did your baseline up until the time you did your end line, you need to document them. So you are not only documenting the things that are in the log frame that you said you will capture as milestones, but you are documenting every single process. So how do you know if your project has accomplished its goal? How do you know? Can anybody help me? How do you know that your project that you are implementing, PROACT, NJR, NHF, Bread for the World, Tier Fund projects, how do you know, peace building, how do you know that it has achieved its goal? Can anybody share with us, what do you think? You know, what do you, just tell us from what you think. How do you know that the goal has been achieved? The goal is the impact now, at the impact level. How do you know it has been achieved? Anybody wants to share? Yes, sir. Let's hear from Mr. Linus. Please speak audibly.
To assess whether
okay, through reports, which is part of the documentation. Yes. Okay, so reports to track your successes, all right? Yes, yes, Mr. Chris.
Through success stories.
Through success stories. Yes. From the participants. Okay, so how do you capture the success story? Okay, true success story capturing in the field. Yes, who wants to share?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Christy? What is so many?
Please, if you are not, Mr. James Obadia, please, can you mute your microphone, please? All right, please, let's be together. So the point of that question is that apart from reports, apart from what you do periodically on the field, an end line survey or evaluation is critical for our projects. This is not your regular meal or M&E. An end line evaluation is critical because an end line now comes after all our processes are done, implementations have been done. We are now looking, reports submitted, we are now coming to check, did peace building project achieve its aim, its goal, the goal we want to see? Remember our results chain. We said there's what? Input, there's output, there's outcome, there's impact. Impact is the umbrella that is big. Now, Crudan alone does not contribute to an impact. I believe we know that. Impact, at impact level, it's big. So several people can contribute, several other organizations, several CSOs, government, they all contribute to impact. But we need to capture our impact because our project specifically addresses the problem that should contribute to that impact. So I'm just saying this to emphasize the issue of the baseline and an end line. And the process documentation is everything, plus feelings of stakeholders and actors, policies, guidelines, everything. You need to capture them and report them. Now, when you capture these things, you are sharing information that you have captured. Are we together, please? There's what we call audience information analysis. We're taught this at the training. Audience information analysis. Every project has stakeholders, right? Every project. Even if it's your BSc project, your BA project, your HND or your ND or whatever, it has stakeholders. There are people that you report to. You have a supervisor, right? You have people you interviewed, and you have people you relate with. I'm just proving the point that every project, right, has a stakeholder. And every team in a project reports to somebody, and they have stakeholders. For instance, the finance team, very important stakeholders they work with are who? The auditors. And there are certain information that the auditors require. And you need to provide it for them, for their own work to be done. So every project has stakeholders. We work with community leaders, we work with volunteers and all that. So every stakeholder needs to get the information on how the process is going and what is coming out of the process at outcome and impact levels. Impact is at community level and outcome is at individual level. All right? Impact is at community level. It's a community-wide result. But outcome is at individual levels within that community. Is that all right? So audience information analysis is about listing down stakeholders. Listing down all stakeholders from staff to board to volunteers, primary to secondary beneficiaries, networks, sister organizations, and charting what is their information need, because they all have information need. Is that okay? The need that your fellow sister organization, information need that your sister organization, let me give an example of an organization here in Jos. The need that RUCON needs from Crudan on whatever project we are working on together is different from the need of the Crudan board. The information need of the Crudan board is different from the information need of your donor, of Tier Fund, for instance. The information need of your auditor is not the same information need of someone else. So you need to know what they should know, why they need it, what channel will you use to communicate it to them, at what time do they need it, and when are you chatting this? At what point? That chat. And we're going to see a brief chat that we were taught to use during the training. And it is this chat. I hope you can see it's a bit tiny. But we have the first point there, like the serial number of it. And then we have the audience. That's the stakeholder. Who are the stakeholders? So what you need to do as project teams is to pick your projects one after the other and say who are the important stakeholders under this project. Under project A, stakeholders are many if you think about them deeply. And I want to hope that if not all of us, most of us have gone through PCM workshop, we know what stakeholder analysis is. So if you've not done project cycle management workshop, I need you to put your name in the chat box now. If you have not done project cycle management workshop and you're a Crudan staff, put your name in the chat box now so that we can note your name and your location so that we can know what to do, because if this is a major area that Crudan focuses its capacity strengthening, we cannot afford to have team members who have not gone through this. I think it's very important. Okay, so the very first place, if you can see audience there, is the stakeholder. Who are they? You list them. For instance, this list you are seeing here is under our peace building project. And the project officer there, Mr. Caleb Gusel, led us in doing this. And in fact, there were a number of other people listed under. I had to remove them so that it can fit into the slide. So here we have Alliance for Peace Building, and we were told that when you are doing this audience analysis, look at the people within your project that you relate with from local to international level. So what peace building networks or initiatives are there locally where you are? What peace building initiatives are there nationally? What peace building initiatives are there internationally? I'm just giving an instance with peace building. Humanitarian. What humanitarian networks or initiatives are there in Maiduguri locally? In Nigeria nationally? Internationally? What for instance, Charter for Change is there. There's several networks and associations for humanitarian listed here. The next column, and you can think of it as a finance team, as the finance team of Crudan. Who are your stakeholders? Locally, who are they? Who do you need to give information to? There's the management of Crudan, there's the board of Crudan, there is Crudan members, that's the AGM, there is the auditor, and several other groups and bodies like that. What is their information need is the next part. We are concluding process documentation now. We'll go into our next session briefly. Their information needs differ. All right. What kind of information do they need? You write it here. You capture it here. Why do they need the information? We capture it here. All right. Why do they need the information? You capture it. What channel would it be? You will capture it. For instance, is it by email? Is it through an annual report printed or sent by email or through a periodic journal? Is it through, for instance, through our prayer bulletin that we usually do on a quarterly basis? Is it through social media? So do we want to share our report with our board through social media, for instance? Can you do that? No, the answer is no. You cannot share. So your audience determines how you share a report with them. There are certain people that you may need to take it to them physically, not even by email, because of the type of stakeholders they are. All right. So what channel will it be? The next one is, when is it needed? When is it needed? Is this information needed quarterly? Is it needed monthly? For instance, the head of Crudan finance team, who is Mr. Linus Gujim, he gives the management committee of Crudan a monthly financial report. It's an information. And the management team need this information to take decisions, because you cannot be planning on funds you don't have. That's why information is critical. And you need to give information to your donor to know what's going on the field. For instance, if stakeholders are resisting your project and within the capacity of the team, you have done the best you could to ensure that the project is accepted, but there are issues with that donor. Probably the donor implemented before you people came on board, and that project didn't end well. I'm just giving you an instance. You need to give that information as quickly as possible to the donor, so that the donor knows that their name doesn't have goodwill here anymore because of X, Y, Z. Information is critical. So that is what the chart looks like, an audience information analysis chart. This is what it looks like. And I just want to share this key learning for me with us before we just go into the second session, is that we should not go through projects without following through the project cycle. Please, we shouldn't do that. Because when you do that, you cannot achieve your desired results. And that was why I felt that it was important that whoever has not done this project cycle management training, for instance, it's important that you indicate so that we know where the need is and so that you can effectively enjoy it. All right, so we have one person that has given us their name in the chat box. So we'll follow up and see how we can engage with you, whether virtually or actually. We'll find a way to do that. So I would like to pause here and take feedback from us. Just before we go in, the next session may be our last session for the day, depending on what we're able to cover. But I know that 1 p.m. is the time that we want to end this training. So I'd like to take feedback or comments or questions from us based on the process documentation we see. Okay, so just before we open it up to everybody to get feedback and comments, just to say what have we done in this session? We have looked at what the process is. I've said the process is the on-the-go documentation of all that is happening in your project. We have said it's about actions. We have said it's about simple or complex things that we do. We have also said that the process is very connected to the results chain. That when you follow through the results chain, all the processes along your getting to your ultimate result, which is your goal or the impact, you need to document them. Everything needs to be documented. We also said that process is not just about actions, but it's also about feelings of actors. It's very, very important. How do they feel about what you are doing? When the community stakeholder that they feel that this is going, you can't ignore it. You need to document it. That there came a time in the point where doing this project that the stakeholder said, and it's important. So the process documentation captures what was planned, what is being done, when it's being done, what achievements are coming from it, what is enhancing achievement, and what are the challenges and what lessons we are learning. We said capturing and storing are important. Capturing and storing are important keywords in process documentation. We also talked about audience information analysis. That is, who are the important stakeholders? Who are the stakeholders, whether primary or secondary, in your project? And what is their information need? What do they need? Because you have a responsibility to furnish them with information. Okay, but the information depends on the category of the audience. Or what you are going to tell your donor is not the same thing you tell your board necessarily, and all that. So we said it's about listing down your stakeholders and drawing up a chart, which we saw. Okay, we saw the chart, your audience, the information they need, why they need the information, what channel through which to communicate that information, and when that information needed. Okay, when is that information needed? When is that report to be shared with the ED? When is that report supposed to be shared with with the finance team? When is that report supposed to go to TFON, to Oxfam, okay, to Bread for the World? When is that report supposed to go? Because their information needs differ, and without information, they cannot take decisions. I also said it's important that we go through projects through the project cycle. We cannot jump the gun. So it's important that if you don't know what the project cycle management really is about, then you need to indicate so that we can have an arrangement with you to put you on this track. It will really add a lot of value to the work that you are ready to. So in a nutshell, that's what we have looked at. That's 35 minutes there, about 30 minutes. And I'd like to take feedback from us or questions. Or you share what was your key learning in the course of this session. Let's just see how we can take it one after the other. I know many people may want to speak at the same time. But if you can raise your hand, it will help me to call you. Okay, I'll see your hand when you raise it. All right, but so here I can see Mr. Linus. Yes, please, what is...
I think for me, this is timely and very, very important. For the agencies of transparency and accountability.
Very key.
Because if you don't keep record of the happenings, I just want to link it to what is happening in our project.
Okay. Please, if you are not speaking, mute your mic. Mr. Linus has the floor, please. If you are not speaking, mute your mic.
The back and forth with Oxfam and the way Tony have been responding to some of their demands.
Yes.
If he has not kept the processes, if he has not documented some of them, be a problem. Right. Because this is a project that have lasted for maybe 4 or 5 years. It expects you to and Matthew, every month he's report. But they don't know come I need the analysis of this from inception to end. But you do provide for them because he kept documentation as an important aspect of his job. If you take documentation as important aspect of your job, you will not have problem in accounting for your action. You will not have problem in accounting for your action. At any point in time, they will ask you, we need for this month, we need for this year, we need for this year, you'll be able to produce it for them. So I think this training is timely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Linus. Yes, comment. Yes, Mr. Chris. Then we'll go to our virtual participants. I'll take Chris, but we can come back. But let's take Chris. Come, just come. Just briefly so that others too can speak.
Yes, sir. Because of the training, you need us to understand that information is important to share, especially with our primary, secondary, local, national, and international.
Yeah.
And we are also told when we went for national peace building workshop at Miami that it is important that we share our report with our primary stakeholders. Okay. Now I want to ask if it's important that we share what kind of report is important we share with them. Okay. Or should we share all report that we gathered as a result of our project? Okay, that is what I want to know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So we have a question. Do you want to answer it or is a question? It's a follow-up question. You want to respond to him?
You know what they said?
There's a response to the question. Just tell us your name and then respond.
I'm Salome Majam. So they specifically mentioned during baselines.
Okay.
We should share those reports with the community, with our stakeholders during baselines.
Okay. Thank you. So she has answered the first part of it, that we should share baseline reports with our communities. Okay, so that's coming from yet another TFON training on the National Peace Building Workshop that we attended recently. And that's important. But there is another part of Chris' question that I want us to answer. And I want to throw it open. What do you think? What kind of information do you need to give your primary stakeholders? Maybe people like your donors especially. What kind of reports do you need to give them and other stakeholders? Anybody wants to try virtually? Yes, please. Okay. Mrs. Otaro, please go ahead.
Before a project is carried out,
yes,
already it was planned, and the donor are expecting how the process, how you started it, and the outcome, the output, the outcome, and then the impact. So those are the reports that are necessary.
Okay. All right. So the output or outcome and all that information is what the donor wants to see. That's just a category of your stakeholder. And for me, I think just to add to that, that when you do your stakeholder analysis from beginning of your project, it helps you to effectively know what kind of information these people need. And you need to think about it critically when you are drawing up that chart. Let me show us that chart again. Can you see this chart? You need to ask yourself, what kind of information? Let me give us a life example. We are working on a report to the board. And at some point, Tula is on this call. We'll be working with him on this. And I've been wondering, what kind of information really do I need to give to the board? Because I've asked different teams to send in reports, successes, challenges, recommendation, success story, pictures. So I have content. The question now is, what is relevant for the board? So the board is not a group of people that have 5 hours to read a report. The board is at a higher level in the organization. What they need is a picture of what is going on. You take like a snapshot of your successes, key successes, what are your key challenges that at that level they need to know. Because when they come together as a board, they need to be able to address it as an organizational board. All right. So the information that your board, the Crudan board needs is different from what TFON needs. And a clear example is that what is going to the board is a report of all the projects we are doing in Crudan, all the donors. Meanwhile, TFON is just one out of them. Does that help us? So it helps you to know that this person, this is his category of stakeholdership, if you can allow me to use that in English. And then this is the kind of information they need, because everybody has information need. Unfortunately, you have stakeholders that will not request for information. I think that's important for us to note. You have stakeholders that will not ask you for information, but they have information need. Those are the kind of people that you even need to be careful about and give information. You have such people in your communities where you work. You have certain community leaders that are watching you. They will not tell you that what you are doing is bad, but they will not say what you are doing is good. But they have information needs. You need to give them information. PROACT, for instance, you need to let them know that the fertilizers that were supplied that number because of XYZ reason. Because that community leader may not necessarily come to you and tell you, why did you supply only 50 fertilizers? So you need to be careful as to the category of the stakeholder and the information need. I don't know, does that help your question? Yes. Thank you. Do we have any other comments? I'm interested in hearing from people joining us virtually. Questions or comments? Tula has sent his comments, and I will appreciate actually if you can send our comments to the chat. Victor will be taking note of them. Just copy them for us and paste them somewhere. So let me just read the charts we have. Tula says, knowing the project audience and their information need is very key to the success of a project. I discovered from the presentation that the beneficiaries have direct information need from the stakeholders and the board. All right. Okay, sorry, have different, all right, information need. Anthony Dama says, thank you for this timely training in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. So sorry the network is not stable. We apologize for that. But like I said, you can access the recording to watch again. All right, so I want, if there is no other comment or feedback from our virtual team, well, I think there should be. I need to hear from someone joining us virtually. Our virtual participants. Gloria, are you there?
Hello, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Just tell us your name. Go ahead.
My name is John. I'm calling from Adamawa State for ACT project.
Thank you.
Actually, I learned that capturing information is a vital thing in the project management, and at the same time, not only capturing but storing the information for future use. And I also learned that impact at the community level, that is, the community partners are the ones that are feeling the impact, while as an individual, we used to come out with an outcome. That means I can give an outcome if the community has not felt the impact, then my outcome is not a good result that is needed. So that is what I learned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Very, very good learning there.
Sorry, I don't know if I'm permitted to contribute to.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I just want to share experience. I was working on a project, and the.
Tell us your name.
Okay, my name is Tulari from Central Zone.
Thank you. From Abuja.
Yes, Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. We are aware. We are well aware.
Okay, I was working on a project, and the project director then thought it was nice to let the beneficiaries know how much the project was. I told them the millions of dollars that we got as grant to support them.
Wow.
Without also letting them know that in this money there was logistics and other expenses. So when we started the re-implementation, the beneficiaries were looking at the X millions of dollars and what they were getting. And that brought a lot of distrust and a lot of fights in the project. They were just accusing the organization of stealing money and not giving them what it was due to them.
Wow.
So from this presentation, I now discovered that, okay, the information need of the beneficiaries was different from what the project director gave them at that time. And it's something that we need to also know as we go to interact with beneficiaries and stakeholders during advocacies. What do we tell them concerning our projects? And that also is very key. I think this presentation is very timely. Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation.
Thank you so much, Tula. Very profound example you gave to us. I just saw the ED, expressing while you were talking that, the information is very key, and what kind of information we give, is very important. Anybody else wants to share their thoughts or learnings? I'll just take one more person virtually only, please. Then we'll go into our last session for the day. Anybody wants to join us? Who wants to say something? Okay, I think we should proceed. All right. So, can you just stretch Stretch your right arm. Okay, just stretch your right arm. Stand up where you are, please. Just stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stretch your right arm only. Just stretch it and place your left arm on your chest. Just do like that. Just stretch it. James, you are not doing anything. We can see you. Gone are the days that you say only God can see you. We can see you from here. Okay, so put your right hand on your chest and stretch your left arm. Stretch your left arm. Okay. Now just imagine that you're on a stage and you want to take a bow. So just bend like that. All right. Thank you very much. Did you hear any clicks on your back? Please bend with caution. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we'll just go into the next session. We're going into the meat of the issues. Research writing and research documentation. At the TFOM training we attended, this session was facilitated virtually by Professor Isaiah Ilo. Okay, Professor Isaiah Ilo is a professor of mass communication, University of Abuja. And we had quite a good session. It was a voice call throughout, so we couldn't even see him. He didn't even have slides. Okay, so the slides you see, every slide you see here, I made them. Okay, I made them from the presentations. So he didn't even have slides, we're just hearing him. And we had a very good time with him. So I am presenting this session at this training. So let's go into it. This session introduces us actually to the concept of research writing itself, all right? And the issues of capturing our success story, impact statement, and case study, all right? So we're going to be looking at that within the next 40 minutes thereabout. So he started by, first of all, unveiling to us what writing is. And I think this was a very good way of him starting this with us. You know, we talked about process documentation, if you remember. And we say it's about capturing, which involves writing. And when we say writing, it's not necessarily carrying biro and paper. It could be typing. It's just about documenting or capturing your thoughts. So let's look at what is writing. According to Professor Isaiah Ilo, it is an he says effective writing is the strategic placement of ideas to make an intended effect on a reader by deliberate choice of words, construction of active sentences, and sequential organization of paragraphs developed as description, narration, analysis, or argument. I know this is quite elaborate and it sounds academic. Too academic for us. We are on the go people. We don't need too much grammar. Okay? But let's try and break it down together. It's too grammatic. Okay. So let's make it responsive to us. What do we think this is saying? That writing is a strategic placement of ideas. Let's pause there. Putting of ideas. In the right places, strategically. Putting your ideas down in a strategic way. What's another word for strategic? Can anybody help me?
Logical.
Logical, okay. Anybody online wants to help me? I need us to understand the word strategic.
Orderly.
Orderly, okay, thank you. Methodically, okay. It's something that is planned. Okay, so when you talk about strategy, what are you talking about? A method, a way. But you see, it's not just about a method or a way that works, an effective way. For instance, there's a language you can use when you are writing to your donor. It's strategic because you intend to achieve something. So we are saying that it's a strategic placement of ideas to make an intended effect. Let's pause there again. What it means is that you are not just writing for writing's sake. There is something at the back of your mind when you are writing. You need results. So for every email you receive, sir, for every email you receive, ma, from somebody, there was an intention in the mind of the writer. Sometimes the words are not enough to convey it, but sometimes the words are too much to convey it. But sometimes the words are just right to convey it. But it's for an intended effect, all right, on a reader by deliberate choice of words. I'll pause there again to say that when you are writing, you need to use your words carefully. As I'm talking to you now, I have a case in point where an email was sent and my intentions for those words I used were clearly objective. But when the person who read it received it, it became an issue. So in this presentation, you'll be hearing life stories of how these things play out in the workplace. So we're not just interested in loading information, we're loading in relevant information of things happening to all of us every day as we work. So you need to be careful with your choice of words. Construction of active sentences. You know, when I mentioned this, I just remembered, you know, our English classes in school. And even it happened in math class, when your teacher is giving you an example, they use a very simple example. Huh? Yes. But when they give you classwork, you are wondering, how is it connected to the example? So for instance, an active sentence could be what? John is a boy. But when you say a boy is John, it's passive. When you say John kicked the ball, it's an active sentence. But when you say the ball was kicked by John, it's a passive sentence. So when you are writing, you need to be sure that your words are written in active sentences. And it's good that sometimes Microsoft Word, when you are typing, even tells you that, can you consider revising, okay? And use an active word or an active phrase or an active sentence is important. Now, the next part of this definition is talking about a sequential organization of paragraphs. Basic English teaches us that what? Words make up, syllables make up words, words make up sentences, sentences make up paragraphs. So your writing, if it needs to get to, your writing is a basic paragraph. Even if it's a sentence, it's within a paragraph. So you need to organize your writing even in paragraphs. You don't write, you write a whole page and it's just one paragraph. What that does immediately to your reader is that it turns them off because the words are jumbled and mumbled together, a whole A4 on just one paragraph. So writing has to do with sequential arrangement, and description, narration, analysis, or argument are just the methods of it. Let's make some progress. So writing has strategies. Writing, we are told that it has strategies. For instance, there's the description, there's the narration, there's the analysis, argument, comparison, exposition. These are strategies of writing. There's a descriptive writing where you describe something. There's a form of writing where you are narrating something, what happened. So, for instance, descriptive and narrative writings are different. They have fundamental differences. Descriptive writing, you are likely to use more of adjectives that describe, so that the person that is reading can picture it as if they were there on the field with you. So narration, you are simply telling what happened and what is the major tense that you should be written in the past tense because you are narrating. Then there's the analysis. You are breaking down certain incidences or certain things so that the person can understand what really took place, analysis. Then there's argument, argumentative writing, where what you are doing is that you are defending a position that you have on something. So argument is not necessarily negative to say, I'm doing, no. Argument is that you have a case and you are defending. Then there's comparative writing, you are comparing. Then there's expository. You are bringing out certain information, certain truth or knowledge, through your writing. Those are the strategies. I don't want us to dwell here so much because I know that one way or the other, we know these strategies. there's a biblical perspective that was shared with us by Professor Isaiah Ilo, and it's taken from Ecclesiastes 12:9 and 10. And the point he was making is in verse 10, that the preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. And for me, this was profound because the prof was able to bring out certain components or key points in writing, which I'll share right now. The first thing is that writing, in his words, Professor Isaiah Ilo says, writing is an exercise in honesty. That means when you are writing, you have to be honest. These are some of the things that differentiates Crudan from several other organizations, and I'm happy and proud to say that. That we are saying that writing needs to be an exercise in honesty. That if that thing is not true, there is no point for you to write it. Because it will come back and haunt you. They say if you tell the truth always, you don't need to remember anything. You know what that means? If you tell the truth, you don't need to remember anything. You know there are some people that don't remember their date of birth because they've said different dates of birth in different forms. So they're trying to remember, when I met you and told you I was 30, did I say 30 or I said 35? So there are several people like that. They are not sure again. So they are trying to remember. They are trying to remember when we met. Did I say I was married or not? Because you are married, but you are working in Pulka. You are working in Goza. You are working in Garkida. Your family is not there. You removed your wedding band and you were telling everybody that you were single. So when you went back to your home base, you are with your wedding band. Then you met the person. Then you are not sure whether you were married or single again. So I'm just saying that writing is an exercise in honesty. The next key point he said is use suitable words for the occasion. Use suitable words, not sweet words, but suitable words, appropriate words for the occasion. When you are writing is important. And many of us are involved in writing. We write emails, we write reports. Even when you have a challenge with an issue, what kind of words do you use? It's important in writing. Writing has to be conscious. You have to put your mind into what you are writing. Because what you are writing forms documentation. When the issues come, they will print that email out. We'll print it out. When you are writing to your line manager, he will print it out. Or when you are requesting for something, it's a record, it's a working document. So you need to be conscious when you are writing. M&E teams, you need to be conscious when you are capturing. You need to be conscious when you are writing. Project leaders, team leads, you need to be conscious when you are writing. Account and finance team, you need to be conscious when you are writing. So that your 5 does not look like 8. So that you don't write what you did not intend to write. So this applies to all of us. Very, very important. And one of the key points he also mentioned was, is a grammatic issue, but he said a sentence is made up of a subject and a predicator, a noun and what? A verb. All right. So sentences should be active and lively. That was the essence of that point. Okay. Sentences must be active and lively. John is a boy. John is the subject. Is the verb. Is an auxiliary verb. We will not go into all that detail, but the point is that sentences should be active and what? Lively. So what are the ways to document project impact stories? And I want us to pay careful attention here because these are the major documentation things that we need to take note of. All right? Success story, impact story, case study. These are 3 key ways to document project impact stories. So we are all doing projects. Everybody listening to me is working on a project. Is working with a team on a project. Whether it's ProAct, whether it's under Bread for the World, it's under Tier Fund, it's under the Dutch Relief Alliance, or whatever it is, we're working on a project. And those projects have, you need to be able to properly document the impact that those projects are making. We need to be able to properly document what we are doing in Bukuru in Giel for peace building. We need to properly document it. It's important for us. So let's delve into the first one, success story. And I'll just like to just mention the points as I've put them in the slide. That success story is a description of what remarkable thing happened, what remarkable change happened. Observe the word remarkable. And you know, as I'm speaking, I'm looking at Mr. Timothy, and it's looking like this is not relevant for finance, but I think it's relevant. Because I remember an organization I worked for, before that particular accountant came, the organization was in debt, huge debt. The first grant they got, they just spent the money anyhow. They didn't follow budget or anything. They saw money, they were just spending. So they got into debt with the donor. When this accountant came, he skillfully and creatively ensured that the new grants they got were spent meticulously up to the point that he ended up paying off that debt and all that. For that account section, for the finance history and record of that organization, it's a success story. So don't just look at it as if we're only talking about program. So, but we're saying that it's a description of what remarkable change happened in the course of your project implementation. The success story is a way of communicating the outcome of the project. So true success story is a type of writing. It's a specific type of writing that communicates the outcome of the project. Specific type of writing. This helps donors to appreciate your work and keep supporting you. To appreciate your work and keep supporting you. You can look up the biblical reference in John 9:27, watch later and just look at it in relation to the success story. Yeah. But the success story is a type of... Please, can you mute your mic if you are not asking a question? It's a type of capturing what? It's a type of documenting your project impact story. And the success story can be used for any of our projects. It is specific for up to 500 words, specific. So your success story allows you to write up to 500 words. But once it gets beyond 500 words, it's no more a success story. Probably you are writing a case study. All right? I'm not even sure a case study is up to 500 words, but we're going to see that. So it's up to 500 words. It shows how the project made a difference. Your success story shows how the project made a difference. In that community where you are working, all of us listening to me, how is Bread for the World project making a difference in Oyo State? How is it making a difference in Ondo State? Not just among one organization or two people. How is it making a difference? And you know what we've discovered is that our projects are making a difference, but we're not capturing them. Those successes, we're not capturing them. I remember recently when we went with the TEFON country director to our field in Bukuru, and we were listening to the success, we're seeing the success stories, and we're asking ourselves, especially those of us that are not directly on the project, that come, this thing is happening in the field, and we did not know. You remember when Jacob, there was a ladder from heaven and he knew it not that God was there. But the point is that success stories, you need to be able to demonstrate how it made a difference. So it is a narrative and it should be concise. What it means is that you don't need to get up to 500 words, but your maximum is 500 words. But you can make it less than 500 words. And I think it's common knowledge, but let me not assume that. How do you know the number of words you are writing? You are using Microsoft Word. What do? When you type, you highlight what you've written. If you look below the tab under, it will show you the number of words. So it's possible you wrote a whole page, but you want to see how many words make this half. Once you highlight that half, what you've highlighted, you will see it over the total number. So that's how to know how many words you've written. So success story, these are the characteristics of a success story. So why do we need to write a success story? We need to write a success story because there's the need to show the importance of the project to stakeholders. We need to let our stakeholders know that, look, this project is important. If we withdraw this project, people will die. If we withdraw this project, there will be food insecurity. If we withdraw this project, there will be women and children, or women and girls specifically, who will suffer if we withdraw this project. In order to be accountable to donors, we write success story. We are told that there's the need to communicate how we've made a difference. And you know, there's no limit to success story. Just be writing them as they come. And you know what? If you look very well, everybody listening to me, as I'm talking, please begin to think about your project. Think about your project. Can you see that as you begin to think now, you can think of more than one success story. You can think of probably 2, 3, 4, 5. Some of us can not even count as we are just thinking right now. The quantity of success stories that we have. But my question for you is that, have you documented them? If you have documented them, you need to revisit them to follow this format, because academically and professionally, this is the acceptable format of a success story, okay? I know that the donors may have specific formats, okay, for success story. Where is specific? Because a donor gave you funds to do a project, you follow the donor's format, okay? That's what you do. But if you are writing without a specific format for a success story, this is the template that we were given, all right? So that others can learn from our experience, we need to capture the success story. We need to say it. Other people can read it and learn. There was a major point that he made, and I just put it like this, if you can see it clearly. Those of us that are here, can we read it together? 1, 2, go. What happened? Please, you people are not reading this thing like.
No one will blow your trumpet.
Hey, see, he's even louder than all of us. All right, if you don't tell your story, no one will tell it. Blow your trumpet. Now, I remember that during the training in Miango, somebody raised the issue but what is the difference between pride and blowing your trumpet? Some people say, but we're a Christian organization, we don't need to be going with a camera when we are doing activities, but you have accountability to do. You have a story to tell. In fact, what is right is that you do this so that people can know that transformation is possible.
You are monitoring the changes.
And you are monitoring the changes. Very key.
It's not bad to go with whatever needs to get.
It's not bad to go. I'm just re-echoing what Mr. Linus is saying. It's not bad to go with whatever form of media that will adequately help you report and capture the story. Okay, so you need to blow your trumpet. For instance, we're told someone came from Lagos for a board meeting in Jos, and I'd just like not to mention the person's name. And when the person came, the person said he doesn't know what our problem is in this part of the country. That we are doing so much, and nobody knows about it. But over there in the Southwest, especially in Lagos and all that, people are doing one small something. The whole world hears about it. What's going on? And for me, when I heard that, it was a huge challenge that as Crudan staff all over the country, and I'm glad that we have a privilege to have all of us on board this afternoon, that how do we tell our story? Crudan as an organization should not be suffering funding because we have so much success stories to convince any donor that we can be trusted. So you are the one that needs to help us to be able to maintain, to be sustainable by how you report. So the essence of this is to encourage you to develop this skill in telling the story. When you hear that the little child in your community was this, but now is this because of our project, you write it, you capture it. You let us know, especially at their headquarters. And I've been saying this, that our PROACT team seems to have more active presence online. They share pictures and all that. And I'm using them to challenge specifically our other teams, humanitarian, Bread for the World team, program officers at the zone. Our ICT person is always on ground to post as you share with him on social media, because our donors also need to know that we're working. Imagine your donor is giving you £1,000, just for example, and he expects that with £1,000 you should be able to do X, Y, Z. Then all he's getting is a report, one report in 1 year. And he's seeing other local partners in the same country where he's working. He's seen their work on Facebook, he's seen them on Twitter, he's seen them on Instagram, he's seen their websites trending. But he's saying, but I gave Krudan 5 million euros and we are not hearing anything. Are these people really working? So it's important that we capture success stories and share them. So how do you write a success story? Just basically, you need to talk about the situation. The problem or issue of concern first. What is it? You need to state it, the problem or the issue of concern. For instance, in social community, there's mistrust between faith communities. People of X faith, people of Y faith. The next thing is your response. How was the problem solved? We organized a capacity building workshop. First, individually for X faith community, then for Y faith community. All this thing I'm saying is not in plenty English. We just summarize them concise. And then we had another workshop, an interaction that brought the two communities together. What I'm saying is just an example I'm giving, all right? Then the next level is results. What is the outcome? What happened? Then what? After you did workshop. Then there began to be interactions. In fact, one person from community X, one person from community Y came together and started a business. That's a big deal where people were not talking to each other. Evidence. What do you have to show? Pictures, reports. What do you have to show? But pictures are more powerful, they are stronger. They tell us that a picture is what speaks rather than 1,000 words, or is worth more than 1,000 words. Pictures are powerful, well taken, well labeled pictures. We were also taught about the 5 W's and H in writing a success story. Who is the first W? The individual or group of beneficiaries. You need to specify what is their age, what is their gender, their ethnic group, their poverty level, because this is what will attest to your outcome. What changes is the second W. What changes have come to the recipient's life? What has happened to the person? When did that thing happen to the person or to the group of people? When? The time period. You need to state it. Do you know why this is important? Because your donors, they will come to the field. I once worked with an organization where the donor is also on the field. They are working on the field too. They are also on the field. And they go to the field, you don't even know about it. Some of our donors come. In fact, we welcome them. We are the ones that pick them from the airport. So it means you know what you are telling them. But there are other donors that are on the ground, so they can verify easily. But one day will come, they will need to verify, when did this thing happen? Where did it happen? The last W is, the fifth one is, why does the recipient feel his or her life has been changed? So you need to get a feedback directly from the beneficiary. Why do they feel that their lives have been changed? And the H is, how did the intervention cause the change? Because you need to be able to, in your success story, link your project to the change. If you cannot link your project to the change, it's not your success story. It's another person's success story. Because if you are saying that actually, you see, it's Krudan that did it, but it's under tier fund. It's not Bread for the World. And you are telling Bread for the World that this is the change their project led to, then there's a problem. Please, are we getting it? All right. So you need to say how. Now, all this how, who, and all that are to be put together in what we are talking about, 500 words, talking about the situation, and all that. You need to illustrate the success story. Look for interesting photographs of people, the subjects of the story. So look for interesting photographs of people who are the subjects of your story for the purpose of illustration. Take a variety of pictures of people of various ages and sexes. Capture dignified people in their normal settings. I want to say this again. Capture dignified people in their normal settings, including close-up photos showing emotions. For instance, one of our member organizations sent me some of the activities they did. He even sent it through WhatsApp. It wasn't an official reporting. It was just letting me know what they did in Gombe during the COVID-19 as a COVID-19 response. It's an upcoming organization. And for me, that was very laudable because they tried to source for funds to respond to COVID-19 pandemic. So I noticed that there was a place they went to and took a picture. Now, this is in their report, in a Microsoft Word typed report that they printed. So in one of those pictures, one of the woman they snapped was bare-chested. She was not wearing anything on her chest. It was not covered with anything. The moment I saw the picture, I was alarmed because that is not dignifying for that woman. She may not know the implication of it. She may even have given consent for that picture, but you know better as a development worker. You know that that's not a dignifying picture. All right? So it's important that you capture dignified people in their normal settings. For instance, the Seki or the chief of a community will not allow you to snap them just like that. So most of the time they will say, wait, they need to go and bring their turban. They need to dress properly because your pictures can go anywhere. And it is in those days that we may even undermine the power of pictures, not now. Because pictures now travel as fast as 1 second. With a press of a button, I can share an image with the entire world. Because on your Facebook page alone, you are allowed to have up to 5,000 friends on Facebook. Each of those 5,000 friends has 5,000 friends. Multiply it by 5,000 again. It gives you an idea of how many people can see your post on Facebook. So pictures are critical, but make them great pictures that tell great stories. Let's see that this community now have water. Let's see the expression on the face of the person that is telling a success story. So a success story is not a bad story. It's a good story, right? So we want to be able to feel the emotions, the pulses of the people from your picture.
I'm assuming the organization is trying to...
Okay, so it's a question, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a question from Mr. Linus. Please, can you make it audible?
The organization is trying to highlight the processes they have followed.
Yes.
In transforming the life of that woman.
Yes.
Maybe they went to initially like Gaza.
Yes.
Just to say that people there, women work just like that.
Okay.
And if in the course of their intervention,
yes,
the situation change.
Yes.
If you now bring the play,
yes,
and then the pause,
yes,
picture, because you are thinking of dignify.
Okay. So the question is, for instance, you are trying to tell a story. You are saying there is a pre-condition of the people and the post-condition. So you go to a community where previously the people were not even wearing clothes, okay? And that was their normal life. And then now the people know better as a result of the intervention. They now dress probably better and all that. So what do you do in that circumstance? Anybody wants to attempt to give us an answer or a response? Especially our team listening virtually. Anybody wants to try? Okay. Since no one, okay, please go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, I missed the question. Can you take it again, please?
Okay, the question is, we're talking about success story, and we're talking about illustrating the success story. We're talking about taking good pictures and we emphasized capturing people in their dignified normal settings. The question is, if you are trying to tell a story of something that has happened in a community, and peradventure in the community previously they do not wear clothes, for example, and then now they wear clothes as a result of your intervention, they know better, and you want to tell the story of pre and post, what do you do in that kind of setting? And we said that people should be captured in their dignified state. So what do you have to say about that? How do we solve that problem of still making them dignified in the past, but they were not wearing clothes? Is it that we don't show that picture at all, or we show it, or what do we do?
Okay, I think if you can capture the picture free and then cover all the sensitive parts,
okay,
then attach the picture, and then you now get another picture when they begin to wear clothes after your intervention. Or you use words to describe how the community lived before your intervention, and then when it comes to what happened after your intervention, then you can use pictures, since it's too sensitive to get the other pictures. But doing all this, you need community consent to agree that no problem, you can use their picture in your success story.
Thank you so much. I think that the last part, that addition is very important for us. We don't want to assume that we all know, but we need the consent of community or people, individuals, to use their pictures. In fact, to even take their pictures at all, because people are more aware, people are more sensitive to these issues. Before, you can afford to snap somebody, you may not care much. But now, everybody wants to know, what do you want to do with my picture? Okay? So, yes, Mr. Victor, you have something to say?
Yeah, I think you answered part of it. But okay. What if the main problem,
yes,
what if the state of that woman and every other person in that community, yes, that is exactly the problem your project is supposed to solve?
Yes.
So how do you now capture that? Because are you supposed to capture it, since we're talking about dignified image or representation of the people? Yes. So how do you capture, if that is the main problem your project is supposed to solve, yes, so how do you go about it?
Okay, so when we are talking about dignified, we are talking about that there is nothing in that image that what's the word? I need a word to convey what I want to say. There's nothing in that image that reduces the dignity of the people themselves. For instance, if it's that they never had water, pipe-borne water or borehole or whatever, they never had any potable water, there is nothing undignifying about that, apart from the fact that it is a bad state. Do you understand? So you can take a picture of even the kind of water they were drinking. That is the state before them. But you see, that is not as bad as now saying that a woman is not well dressed and you took a picture of her. Or a man was doing something, or a man is also not well dressed and you took a picture of him. It could be tantamount to taking advantage of the people, all right? So that's why we're saying that the people need to be dignified within their normal setting. That's what this slide actually says, that there's the normal setting of the people, but in that normal setting could be a poverty setting. Normal setting could be a disaster setting, in the sense that maybe the place has been, maybe there was flooding. Okay, there was flooding because there are no gutters, there are no whatever. But our project, we built gutters for them. It's a DRR activity, and the community came together to clear the waterways and all that. So when you do the pre and post, the people are not undignified, because that's the setting where they were while that took place. So I think that it's just for us to generally ensure that the individuals, especially in our pictures, are not undignified as we portray them, okay? So to round up our session today, it's important to know that one of the best ways to write a good success story is to study the best examples of success stories, all right? If you want to be a good writer, be a good reader. If you want to be a good learner, be a good listener. All right. So the best way to do it right is to study the people that do it right. over time, when you study those who do it right, you read a lot of articles, conference journals, and all that. It helps you to be able to adequately write, and you learn the art of writing. You learn the language of writing. You learn the techniques of writing, okay? So this is the last slide we have for this success story. The next time we are going to do this training, which is not going to be very far from now, we'll discuss and let you know. We'll continue from impact statement. Interestingly, impact statement sounds very big, but impact statement is just 75 words. Just 75. Very brief, but we'll continue from there when next we meet. But I just want to do a little recap of what we have shared so far in this session. We have said that we looked at writing, okay? We looked at what writing is. We said writing is what? Is a strategic placement of ideas, all right? And it comes with deliberate choice of words and is intended to make a particular effect on the reader. We also said it's constructed in active sentences. We talked about sequential organization of paragraphs. We talked about the different strategies in writing, types of writing, narrative, analysis, expository, comparative, and all that. Then we looked at the biblical perspective that the preacher sought to find acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. And I told you how the professor Isaiah Ilo, who taught us this session, creatively used it to tell us, key points on writing. That writing is an exercise in honesty. You need to use suitable words. It needs to be a conscious effort. Okay, we looked at what ways do we want to, we looked at the first way to document project impact stories. And we said it is what? The success story. What is the success story? It is a description of one remarkable change that happened as a result of the project. Okay, it's a way of communicating the outcome of your project. This helps donors to appreciate your work and keep supporting you. We also said that it's up to 500 words. It shows what difference the project has made. It is narrative and should be concise. So we looked at why do you need to write a success story? And we said that it is important to show stakeholders the importance of your work so that we can be accountable to our donors who write success stories. For the need to communicate how we've made a difference, how we've made a difference, not the difference we've made, there's a how we made a difference, okay? And so others can learn from our experience. It's very important. Then we said, if you don't tell your story, no one will tell it. Honestly, everybody's minding their business. The only people that will tell your story are the media, but you need to engage them to tell your story. They are the only other people that will tell your story. Blow your trumpet. Blow NJR trumpet. Blow PROACT trumpet. Blow Bread for the World trumpet. Blow TFON trumpet. Through CRUDAN, through the work that CRUDAN is doing. Because in the field, nobody knows CRUDAN, TFON. They only know CRUDAN. They at best know the name of TFON. But we need to blow the trumpet. Our own trumpet, CRUDAN trumpet. We need to blow CRUDAN trumpet that this is the work we're doing. And we said 4 ways mainly to write it. You need to state the problem, the situation. You need to talk about what you did, how you solved the problem, and what resulted from what you did. And you need to show us proof that this is what we did in this place. What is the story about? What change happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why does the recipient feel that their lives have been changed? And then how did the intervention cause the change? We talked about the importance of a picture, a good picture that illustrates your story. This is what we've done in this last session, and we're concluding this now, but I'm already excited about some of the sessions ahead as I'm remembering them because they really added a lot of value to us as a team that attended. And I know that they will add a lot of value to you. Professor Chris Isiche, founder of Faith Alive, took the other sessions, and it will interest you to know how they raised a lot of funds for Faith Alive. I'm saying that to whet your appetite so that you can look forward to the next sessions. Okay, that there's a lot that pictures can do. There's a lot that videos can do. please don't miss the next session. Call your team together for the next session. We'll try and plan it ahead and give you information so that you can block that date in your diary. So I'd like to take feedback from you from this session. What was your major takeaway? And if you have a question, please ask. After that, we'll just call it a day.
Yeah, just to...
Okay. Is that too loud? Please go ahead. Or Jada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I would like to appreciate the entire Prudent team for putting this workshop together. Our wish, all our staff of Pro, I really appreciate that next time we plan it ahead of time so that everybody can join. Actually, success story collection is our major challenge on ProAct.
Wow.
Having gone through the session today, I think it has impacted more, and we can improve on our success story writing. And we can actually do like a kind of another step down training from this step down training to other colleagues that cannot be able to join. We really appreciate you. And also on blowing our trumpet, I think we as Prudent, we are not blowing our trumpets a lot. I've been seeing a lot of work done by the IT officer, both on Facebook and Twitter. And if you look at the number of likes we are getting on the social media, and even, followers, it's not much. I think even only Prudent staff can be able to, get us more likes, but sometimes you see a post, only 1 or 2 people will like it. So I think we need to do more. Every staff of Prudent need to like our social media handle. And when there is a post, we should do more, all of us to retweet it or share it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jada, for those profound thoughts. We are glad that you were able to gain some insight from this training. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Other comments, please, or feedback? Mr. Linus, I think.
Hello, everyone.
Go ahead. I think, is that Gloria?
Yes.
Please go ahead, Gloria.
Okay. I want to thank the HQ staff, especially Mr. Toby, for this wonderful presentation. Actually, I was concentrating throughout, but the second session was more interesting to me than the first. Maybe because of the fact that I'm in the meal session, but the story, the success story collection and all that, it's really a key thing here, especially in the humanitarian session, because most of the time they call us like the donors, they want stories and stories and stories. And I didn't know about the 5W and H for success stories. This is something that is really new and it's amazing. And I want to say well done for that. Thank you very much. And I wish we could even continue or have more time to continue about the impact story and others. Thank you, and this was really helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for your thoughts. We'll sure have another session. We'll communicate us like we have said. Please, for everybody, whether you have the opportunity to speak now or not, just go to the chat section and type your feedback or your comment. It's very important for us, please. Just type your feedback or comment. But I want Mr. Linus to speak audibly. Now he has been wanting to speak since. I've been putting him on reserve. So let me allow him to please speak. Then we'll take 1 or 2 people virtually and we'll be rounding up.
Yeah, just to comment, resource person for the presentation. I think for me, the issue of success story documentation starts from the baseline process.
Yeah.
If you monitor your project right from the baseline, I think the success story will be wow.
Yeah.
In most cases, it's only when you go for M&E activities before you begin to ask how far. They will give you a kind of success story that you do not lay the foundations.
That's true.
So, baseline survey, we should take it seriously. Just as you have said when you started, you said that it's something we're supposed to do and are waiting for.
Opportunity. That's right.
So if we do that, actually, we'll be able to give a pre. And then the middle of the implementation and then the course, which will now actually build our success story to have substance that everybody will say, wow. So for our projects officers across the nation, the issue of baseline is very, very key. Go snap the situation, interact with people if you like, video, audio, recording, and all that. If you are writing a success story, it will be very easy for you
to write.
Because you can justify the situation.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Chris.
Yeah, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
What you just said.
Okay.
You said success story start from that it's important the success story from baseline.
Yes.
And I discovered that baseline is all about one findings.
Yes.
Trying to know the current situation of the particular area you want to carry out your activities or your project.
Yes.
Now, how do you capture success story at that level?
How do you capture success story at that level? Well, one clear way we already said it is through one of the key components of the success story is stating the situation.
The situation, who is the problem?
Remember, we talked about it, the problem. We talked about the problem. That's the first thing you need to be able to capture. Look at it here. The problem, issue of concern, is a key part of the success story. So you need to state it. Then you now state how the problem was solved. What did you do to solve the problem? Now you're talking about the project implementation. Because what you did, for some of us, is in 1 week. For some of us, it's in 2 months. For some of us, it's 6 months. Now, it depends on the how many months your project is. For some of us, it's 3 years, what we did. For some of us, it's 5 years. But but mainly, there's something that you've done that at that level, you can tell a success story about. So I think I've answered your question, that you need to state the situation. It's clear already as a component of your success story. Please, Edie, give him an example.
Sorry, can I come in, sir?
Sorry, please. The ED is trying to do an illustration to follow what.
All right.
Yes, so they can. Okay.
Yes.
So, like can you hear me?
Yes.
The Bukuru community, the Muslims and Christians have been having problems. That's the problem. But the way you stated, lack of trust or constant fighting or what do you call the fighting now? I mean, conflicts between the Muslims and Christians in Bukuru community, okay, which has been going on for many years and lives have been lost. That's the problem. What did you do? You did an intervention where you brought them together, both Muslims and Christians, and you state what you did. Some of those processes they went through. And then this next R is what?
No, the next thing is the outcome.
The outcome. So the results, after a while, we discovered that there's less conflict, and they have joint meetings, they do things together, and each time there's a potential for conflict, it is spoiled because of that relationship. So that's the outcome, isn't it? Then the next thing is pictures, evidence. Muslim and Christian youths playing ball together, or whatever they did together that showed. So it looks easy.
Yeah, it's not as difficult as it's, as it may look.
Yes. I want to thank you very much, our presenter, for today for the wonderful job. I have a lot of new learnings. But the one I really want to talk on is the last point you made, that if you don't blow your trumpet, nobody will.
Right.
Crudan is doing a lot, and I think the ICT will have to do a lot of job in creating more of media engagement in all our interventions. And as POs in our various zones, each time we go on activity the people we engage with, we have to also share our Facebook page, our Twitter handles, so that they too will like it, and then our engagement will continue in that manner. And then for activities we do instead, I think it's also good to have a media component where we invite the media. NTA will carry it, AIT will carry, channels will carry, and then more people will get
looks like we're
to know what we are doing in our various zones. And then we also share the link. Okay, we also share the link with on our various media platforms. So that is what I just want to show. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Tula. Very, very important. That will be the last comment as we round up this session. So it's very important, the media engagement. And just to let you know that here at HQ, we are beginning to think of these issues more seriously. For instance, on our peace building project we are doing here in Jos, we have a media component. And as soon as we receive the grant from Tier Fund, we are going to be discussing it with one of the frontline radio stations. And we're going to be having a weekly show, all right, on peace building, where we'll have different guests come on air and talk. The PROACT is already doing a good job of that because it's an integral component of their project, which is the radio program. And they talk on different topical issues, that is relevant to the project objectives on that program. I agree that, in fact, Jada made an important point. You see, if all Crudan staff alone like our posts, it will be a lot more than what we have. So my first challenge to everybody listening, and I want you to further challenge your team, is that our Crudan social media platforms are these. On Facebook, we are Crudan NG. Facebook at Crudan NG. Look for our page, Crudan NG. Write it down. Crudan NG on our Facebook page. All right. So the ICT person is typing it now on the chat box. On our Twitter, we're at Crudan HQ. On Twitter, we're at Crudan HQ. And on Instagram, we're at Crudan HQ. All right. The reason why the Facebook is different is because before we came on board, many people had opened with Crudan HQ at different times. So Facebook did not allow us to change that or to use that handle. So Crudan NG on Facebook, on Twitter is at Crudan HQ. Twitter at Crudan HQ. So just to encourage you that our donors are on Twitter. All our donors, they're on Twitter. They see our posts. So if you retweet our posts on Twitter and you like our posts on Twitter and Facebook, they now know that people are responding to us. Do you understand? It's an encouragement for them that people are acknowledging the work of Crudan. But if we make posts and you don't share the post, you don't like the post, you don't make comments. So one of the things we want to begin to do, Victor, and I want you to take lead on this, is we want to begin to engage people through conversations on those platforms. We don't just want to make a post, but we want to begin to ask questions so that people can comment. And the way to do it is you, our staff, when we ask a question, be the first to make a comment. Then others will follow. Then it becomes interesting. As I'm talking, there is a training on advocacy we did in Port Harcourt with youth on advocacy and mobilization. And they are already making plans to use our Twitter handle to officially make a campaign on rape, the issues of rape. So they are already in talk with Victor. So when you begin to see those posts, those pictures, repost them, retweet them, share them, like them. All right. So as you are where you are now, carry your phone, go to Twitter, go to Facebook. On Twitter, type Crudan HQ. Follow us. On Facebook, type Crudan NG. Like our page, you begin to get updates. On Instagram, look for Crudan HQ. Follow us. All right. So I think that's important. I want to give us an assignment, and I need you to write this down, everybody. Write this down. Everybody, write this down. For the project that you are doing, please write a success story. Just one success story for your project. Today is Friday, right? So we ask you to turn in your success story by email to me, copying the ED. Write a success story or review one that you have written before that did not conform to this pattern. So using the pattern we have shared today, write a success story and share with the director of program of Crudan and the ED. What? So you are expected to turn this assignment in between now and 4 p.m. on Wednesday, the 22nd of July. Please write it down. Between now and 4 p.m. on Wednesday, 22nd July, submit this assignment. Write a success story on the project you are working on. If you are in finance, write success story. If you are in logistics, write success story. If you are in admin, write success story. HR, write success story. What was the content? I think mentor contract. Okay, so we're going to share the link for the recording and this slide on the different WhatsApp platform groups we have for our teams. Okay, so when you go to our YouTube account, we have a YouTube channel. Crudan HQ is our YouTube channel. So when you go there, you can subscribe to that channel. The moment we upload new videos like this one, you will get a notification. So what I've said in essence, let's not confuse all the information. Number one, we have assignment to be submitted next week, Wednesday, by email, latest 4 p.m. Write a success story on the project you are working on, all right, in your respective locations, the success story. And or you can pick up one you have written before and conform it to this format. I know that we have new people joining us like Tula, but Tula, you need to look through the records or look through the reports or come up and you can work with Peter and your director, Mr. Dan Mapu, to come up with a success story of our previous activities on the project Bread for the World and conform it to this pattern. Okay? Submission deadline 4 p.m. Wednesday. We are going to communicate between now and Monday the date and time for our next meeting. It may not be convenient for everybody because we have different work plans, but we'll just try and give you enough notice. If you have planned activities or things that could be shifted, we would appreciate it. But if not, we'll need major people on the teams to be part of this training. On behalf of the management of Crudan and the ED who is here present, I want to appreciate everybody for being a part of this training. Please charge the refreshment of this training to your different budgets, to your different admin budgets or impressed, please. And just thank you for being part of this. Do your homework, and we'll let you know by God's grace when the next training will be. Please, if you did not get a mail from me inviting you for this training, drop your email address on the chat box so that we can send the slides to you via email, and so that the next invitation can come to your email. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead. Can we say the closing prayer, please? There are some voices that I have not heard on this call since we started. Nkechi is on the call. Okay, I'm just saying that. Okay, so if Nkechi can hear me, can she say the closing prayer? Nkechi, please unmute your mic and say the closing prayer as we round up.
Oh my God, I entered late too, so I didn't get most of the things that were said. I was having issues with my network, but that notwithstanding, I was in prayer.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, colleagues.
Hello, we can hear you.
In the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this training we just conducted online. It's not by our power that we're able to join in this, but Lord, it is by your grace. Father, that as you've organized this and made it possible for us to partake in it, to learn new things about improving in our workspaces. Father, may you, oh Lord, also guide us to implement this and see that it improves the quality of work that we do, and also improve the quality of lives of our beneficiaries. Because all we do is not just for our own aggrandizement, Lord, but rather it is for the upliftment of the kingdom of God, and also for the benefits of people on earth. Father, may you, Lord, help us to achieve our aim. Help us to achieve the goal of this training, that as we implement our project, we will be able to put everything that has been taught into practice and see that it materializes in the lives of the beneficiaries through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Nkechi. Now it didn't sound like you were not part of the training. So that was really good. But you can watch the video again. It will be on our YouTube channel at Crudan HQ. Thank you very much. We'll share the slides, we'll share the link. Do your assignment, 4 p.m. Wednesday, and we'll communicate the next training dates. Thank you very much. God bless.